This settlement began on August 1st, 1917, when Francisco Latuda from Colorado purchased approximately 326 acres of land. They quickly began the development of the Liberty Mine and then formed the Liberty Fuel Company. Their first shipment of coal was in January 1918. At first, the settlement that was built up around the mine was just a few houses. The rest were tents. In 1918, new structures began to replace the tents. This settlement was called Liberty. Once the post office was built, the name was changed to Latuda, after the mine owner. By 1923, Latuda was booming and had 300 to 400 residents. In 1920, the mine office was built out of stone. Included in this building was a hotel on the top floor for visiting executives and a doctor's office. A school building was constructed in 1921. It was also used for meetings and social functions. Coal production continued to increase as upgrades were made to the mine. In 1926, Liberty Mine was one of the first mines to utilize mechanical loading inside the mine. The lack of water was an early problem the town had. They had to haul water in from Helper, a town 7 miles away. They fixed this by tapping a spring and piping it into town. Latuda is surrounded by mountains and is at an elevation of 6,700 feet. Because of this location, Latuda was subject to snowslides. On February 16, 1927, disaster struck the town. There were 2 large avalanches that tore through the town, killing several people. The remaining residents rebuilt the town and their homes. Latuda continued to thrive until the mid-1950s. In 1928, Liberty Fuel Company built a new modern 4-track steel tipple, which increased the production capacity to 1,500 tons per day. Production was reduced to 1,000 tons per day by the mid-1940s. The mine closed in 1966, with the entrance being blasted shut. The last residents moved away in 1967, leaving Latuda a ghost town. There is possibly one resident left, the White Lady of Latuda. Witnesses say they have seen a woman wearing a white dress that wanders through the abandoned buildings and the surrounding area. There are different rumors as to who she is and what happened to her. One legend says the woman was believed to have lived in Latuda. Her husband was killed in the mine and his body was never found. She wanders the vicinity and inside the mine, looking for her husband's body. One of the most common explanations for the ghost, known as the Lady in White of Latuda, is that she was a young mother who, on that fateful day in 1927, left her child sleeping at home while she ran a quick errand to the general store. After the avalanche killed her child, she hung herself in the upper floors of the mine office. This next story is as told by Tony Slavinsky Sr. to family and friends between 1970s to 1980s. In Spring Canyon, there was a family which consisted of a man and a wife and 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl. The husband and son were both killed in a mine accident. This left the woman to fend for herself and infant daughter. 3 to 4 weeks later, the woman was washing clothes in the Spring Canyon wash, and someone kidnapped the baby. The baby was thrown into the wash and drowned. The story says that the woman lost her mind and died, and that she still searches the wash for the baby and seeks revenge for its death. This story was told by Patty Waterman Jones. On February 16, 1927, Daniel Richard Grundvig was killed in a snowslide at Wadis, Utah. He was buried more than 15 feet under the snow. He and Tony Ledger were miners for the Lion Coal Company and were walking the canyon to the powerhouse and were close to the mouth of Wadis Mine. They were warned of the oncoming snowslide, but unable to get out of the way. Tony was found alive, but Richard was dead. The following October 16, 1927, Nina, the wife of Daniel, and my grandma Grundtvig were visiting Nina's parents in Spring Canyon. When they were leaving, Nina told my grandma to get the kids back out of the car because she had to turn it around and go back home. The kids were Nina's 3 children, Sylvia, Dan, and Vaughn. Grandma's kids were my mom, who was about 4, and my Uncle Arnold, who was 3 months. Nina then proceeded to back off the road, and her car fell 70 feet down the side of a cliff. The car landed on top of her. She was taken to the Spring Glen Hospital, but never regained consciousness, and she died. She was buried in her wedding dress because they had only been married 7 years before in 1920. Nina's and Richard's kids were raised by her parents. One Memorial Day, my sister and I went to the Wellington Cemetery and stopped at my Aunt Valoy's home in Wellington. We had pictures from Mom and Dad in boxes and knew Aunt Valoy would know how they fit into the Waterman and Grundtvig side of the family. While looking through the pictures, she came to Nina's picture and commented, "Oh, the white lady." Georgia and I just looked at her in surprise. She said, "You didn't know she is the white lady of Spring Canyon?" And she told us the story that my grandma has shared with her of what happened. I know 2 people come to take the person home to the other side because I have seen them at funerals. I don't know why she did not cross to the other side. Perhaps Richard was not one of the 2 to come for her, so she would not leave. I have learned the only way she cannot cross over is if someone from this side sees the light with her and tells her to cross over. She is there in Spring Canyon, but I don't feel she is protecting the miners and all the other things people say. She is just looking for Richard. This next story is told by Claude Lambert, a retired coal miner from Spring Canyon. This story was told in the 1950s, but allegedly took place in the 1940s. There was a couple living in the town of Peerless, next to a store that had overalls displayed in the window. The couple had 1 infant child. The woman lost her husband in the mine, but not due to a mine accident, but from blood poisoning caused by an infected tooth. Since the death was not mining related, the mine company did not have to pay any compensation or benefits to the widow. At this time, there were also no welfare programs available. Destitute and starving, the woman did not want her child to suffer and starve to death, so she took it down to the wash and drowned it. The woman then lost her mind and was instituted in the Provo Mental Facility. She eventually escaped by means unknown and returned to Peerless to find her child. She eventually died and to this day still searches for the baby. Claude Lambert lived in a rock house in Spring Canyon, and he knew and worked with the man and also knew his wife. A final tale says that after her husband was killed in a mine accident, the company refused to give her full compensation. She confronted the mine officials, but was met with refusal. She was so angry from the meeting and was driving so fast that she drove off the narrow road and was killed. The truth of her life will probably never be known. For whatever reason, she continues to make her presence known in the canyon. Numerous sightings of the White Lady have been reported throughout the years. Teenagers often come to the Latuda mine office at night to tell ghost stories and to hopefully catch a glimpse of the Lady in White.